know the best thing about that video? They pay me to do that. Isn't that amazing? So, well, it is good to be with you guys this morning. I've been looking forward to this. Before we get started, I don't know if you knew it or not, but my team went to the Super Bowl this year. We do got some Chiefs fans, yeah. I was going to show you a few pictures from the Super Bowl, but last night at dinner, I heard some kind of troubling news. I heard that Brian Haskins is a season ticket holder for the Dallas Cowboys, and so if you wouldn't mind putting him on your prayer list would be good. But real quick, I'll show you a couple pictures from the Super Bowl. This was me and the Buccaneers mascot out in front of the stadium before the game. Here's a picture of me inside the stadium just before kickoff. And then here's a picture of me after the game. Didn't go the way I wanted it to this year, but that's okay because I brought some pictures from last year's Super Bowl too. This one turned out a whole lot better for us. This was right after the game. We were celebrating on the field. Some guy walked up and he's like, "Wolf, you want your picture with the Super Bowl trophy?" I'm like, "Heck yes, I want my picture with the Super Bowl trophy." And so that was that picture. This next one is me and the 49ers mascot hanging out on Miami Beach together. And then here's a picture of me sunbathing on Miami Beach. If you're having trouble figuring out, I'm on the bottom of the screen. Not in a black swimming suit in that photo. And then my other favorite picture is this one. This was right before the game. I got to lead the team onto the field for the pregame. And I love that photo, but I tell folks, don't be too impressed by that because the only guy I outran on Super Bowl Sunday was Andy Reid, our head coach. And Andy's a great guy. He's a great coach, but honestly, Andy's not that fast. And so, but like I said, I'm excited to be with you today. As I said, my name is Dan Meers. I live in Kansas City, back in Kansas City. I'm kind of known as the guy that's got a strange occupation. Okay, I'm a mascot. Now, when you're a mascot, it's really funny. There's three questions people always ask. As soon as they find out what you do, seems like they always ask the same three questions. Number one, and this is how they say it, is that your real job? Yeah, that's my real job, believe it or not. That's how I support my family. Number two, is it hot in your costume? Yes, it is. You probably know this, but mascots, we all wear a special cologne. It's called Febreze. You can get it at Walmart, okay? But we use a lot of this right here. And then the other question that I always get is, how did you get into that line of work? You know, how did you become a professional mascot? Well, some of you may know, I got my start back in college. I dressed up in a tiger suit at the University of Missouri. I was Truman the Tiger. Got a Tiger fan here? Yeah, thank you. You know, earlier this week, I spoke in Kansas. That is not the response I got in Kansas when they found out I was a Tiger. But if you know, I was Truman the Tiger, did that for 4 years in college, and then I graduated, and that made my parents really, really happy, okay? You probably know this. All the smart kids graduate magna cum laude. I graduated thank the laude, okay? So I graduate. Mom and Dad are both excited. They're like, "Son, we're proud, but you have to get a job." So if you know, the first job I got after 4 years of college, went out, I got my first job working in professional baseball. I dressed up in a bird outfit for the St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. Check out the bird legs on that bird right there. Okay, now, if you're a Cardinals fan, Cardinals mascot's character called Fredbird. Now, if you look at that slide, you can tell two things. Number one, that was a long time ago, okay? That was before I put gray highlights in my hair. And the other thing you can tell from this photo, the guy that was Fredbird before me was a short guy. You see, I'm pretty tall. That meant his feathers covered up a lot more than my feathers covered up in that bird suit. So I'm running around St. Louis dressed up in a bird suit. I get a call from the Chiefs. They wanted to know if I'd be this guy, Casey Wolf. And I thought, you know, I bet I'll look a lot better going to work each day in gray fur than cute yellow tights, right? And plus, as I thought about it, in professional baseball, they play 81 home games in the summer. Professional football, we play 10 during the fall and the winter. Now, I might not be the brightest guy in the world, but I knew that was a good switch to make over to the NFL. And so I came to Kansas City, and I've been with the Chiefs. I just finished my 31st year with the Chiefs this season, which, thank you. I know you're all out there thinking that's a long time to avoid a real job, and you're right. But I love what I do. People always ask, what's the best thing about being a mascot? Well, number one, I get paid to act goofy, which is nice. Used to get in trouble for that in school, not get a paycheck for it. So there's hope for some of your kids and grandkids, okay? Number two, I tell folks I go to work in a suit and a tail instead of a suit and a tie. I want you to know I never look this good for work. I did this for you today, so I hope you appreciate this right here, okay? Number three, I tell folks I get to meet all the Chiefs players, get to know those guys, which is kind of interesting. And number four, I get to hug all the Chiefs cheerleaders too, even though I don't do that near as much, because about 27 years ago, this wolf got married to a fox, and the fox doesn't like me hugging cheerleaders any longer. And I got a picture of my wife. There she is, right there. That's my trophy wife right there. You can tell we've been married a while. We're starting to look alike after 27 years together. But got a better picture of my family. This is from our last family reunion, right there. That's all of us. You kind of look at us, we all kind of look alike here. And I got a better picture out of costume. That's me on steroids. And I look a lot different with this shirt off, trust me. And then that's me back off steroids. But my wife's in the red. If you want to get a better look at her, she's sitting at this table right back there. So Cam, I got to embarrass. There you go. So if you don't like this presentation, that's not the woman to tell. Okay, so, but like I said, we've been married for 27 years. We got 3 great kids. Our oldest daughter in the green, she just graduated from college about 2 years ago. So I thought I had her off the payroll. And she just got engaged on New Year's Eve. So got a wedding to pay for now. So she's not quite off the payroll. My son, he just graduated from Pitt State over here in Pittsburgh, Kansas, not too long ago. And he just got married in October. He's going to med school next year. So he wants to be a doctor. I find that kind of funny. His dad's a mascot. He wants to be a doctor. I thought there was a gene thing that got passed along, but I think it might have skipped a generation because he's actually a pretty smart kid. And then my youngest daughter, she's the athlete in our family. She actually plays college volleyball at Louisiana Tech down in Ruston, Louisiana. But I love being a dad. All 3 of my kids got to bring me in for show and tell back in kindergarten. Kind of fun. I even got to trick or treat with my kids too about 15 years ago. And of course I went as the wolf. My kids were the 3 little pigs that year. So had a good time. But I love what I do. Being a mascot is a lot of fun. But I once read this, that if you ask a man his occupation, all you're going to do is you're going to find out how he pays his bills, right? But if you ask a man his preoccupation, then you're going to discover the passion of his life. Now, my occupation's mascot. I pay my bills running around in a costume. It's not rocket science, okay? But my preoccupation, what I am truly passionate about in this life, for me, it is simply 3 things. Number 1 is my faith. Number 2 is my family. And number 3 is using my life to make a positive impact in this world that I live in. I get the opportunity to do a lot of speaking. I speak all over the country, and I do a lot of speaking on leadership. And I'll tell you my favorite quote on leadership. It's from a guy named John Maxwell. I'm sure you've heard that name before. But John Maxwell once said this. He said that leadership, it's not about titles, positions, or flow charts. Leadership is about one life influencing another. And honestly, that's what I'm passionate about, is encouraging others to live a life of influence in their homes, their workplaces, their communities, and this world that we live in together. And as I was thinking about what to share today, I thought about this quote. This quote's on my desk at Arrowhead Stadium. And the quote says this. It says, "Your life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you wish, but you're only going to spend it one time, so spend it wisely." And, I love that quote because that quote reminds me every day that I get to make choices, right? Every day I get to choose how I'm going to live my life. I'm the one that's going to decide once again today how I spend my coin. And, the older I get, and I am getting older, I hate to admit that to folks, but I just turned 40. 14 years ago now, okay? So now I'm in my 50s. You know what that means? Got my first colonoscopy. Well, that'll make you feel like an old guy in a hurry right there, okay? I don't know what the special juice is. That's the strongest drink I've ever had in my life, okay? And that's more than you wanted to know about the speaker this morning too, isn't it? But you know, the older I get, the more I realize that how you choose to spend your coin each day is very important, because the choices that we make each day, big choices, and especially the small ones, you know what, those just add up over time. And at the end of your life, when you look back at your life story, that's who you are, it's who you've become, it's the impact and influence that you have had with your life. It's going to be determined by the choices you made along the way. And I remember when my kids were in elementary school, there used to be a poster at this school. Whenever I'd see the poster, it always reminded me that even those seemingly small choices I make every day really are very important, because here's what that poster said, and I'm sure some of you have heard this before, but it said, guard your thoughts, they become your words. Guard your words, they become your actions. Guard your actions, they become your habits. Guard your habits, they become your character. Guard your character, because it becomes your destiny. You know, those choices that we make every day will ultimately determine our character and our destiny. You know, I tell that to young people all the time when I go out. I speak at high schools, that, and I think you know this, your destiny is not determined by chance, okay? Your destiny is determined by choice. The choices you make every day, that's what's writing out your life story. And when you think about it, all of us here, every one of us in this room, we're all writing a life story, and every day is just one more sentence. And I once read that since you're the author of your story, you get to decide each and every day whether that sentence you write ends with a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. And, you know, I've always tried to teach my kids, do your best to live every day you get so that it ends with an exclamation point. And, you know, in the short time that we have this morning, I'm going to share with you a little bit of my own life story. And if I was going to be perfectly honest, I would tell you that the chapter of my story that I'm going to share this morning, in many ways, it's been my least favorite, because it's been the most difficult and been by far the most painful. But the reason that I want to share it this morning is, in other ways, I see this as one of the great chapters of my life story, because through this chapter, I've learned some incredibly valuable life lessons. But the chapter that I'm going to share begins on November the 23rd of 2013. I tell people I will always remember the day, because on that day, I literally came within inches of losing my life. Now, thankfully, instead of losing my life, I spent 9 days in a hospital, and I got some big scars. And I had a guy tell me once, scars are just tattoos that come with a cool story, right? Well, today, I'm not going to show you my scars. If I do that, I'll never get invited back to another SIG conference, trust me. So I won't show off my scars today, but I do want to share with you just a little bit of my story. But the question that I've been asked just hundreds of times over the past 7.5 years now is, what happened to you? You know, how did you get hurt? And as some of you Chiefs fans may know, the best way to answer that question is by telling you that KC Wolf got to go for his very first bungee jump, and let's just say things did not turn out well for me, okay? You see, I'm not only an NFL mascot, I'm also a failed bungee jump survivor, and not a lot of guys get to say that. That's kind of a small niche I've created for myself at this point in my life. But today I'm going to share with you what happened to me. But more importantly than that, I want to share with you the greatest lessons I've learned since that day. But November the 23rd of 2013 was a Saturday. I woke up bright and early that morning, drove to a little town up in northern Missouri called Chillicothe. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chillicothe, Missouri. Great community. I was up there for their holiday parade. So KC Wolf was in this parade, Santa Claus was in the parade, and a whole bunch of horses were in the parade. And every horse in Chillicothe had eaten a whole bunch of fiber the day before the parade, too, I found out as I tried to walk down Main Street. But once I get through this parade, I get back in my car. I drive back to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where I was going to practice a stunt that I was going to perform the next day at the Chiefs game. We were going to be playing the San Diego Chargers. They're now the LA Chargers. And I was going to bungee jump and zip line into our stadium. Now, how that works is we hire a company that comes in. They set up a zip line. The zip line attaches to the lights at the top of the stadium, stretches all the way across the football field to the lights on the other side of the stadium, and then they attach a bungee cord to that zip line. Okay, Sounds safe, right? Yeah, that's what my wife said too. But now, I know that's kind of hard to understand. So I'm going to show you a short video. Don't get nervous. This is not me getting hurt. But this will give you a good idea of what I was doing on the day I did get hurt. Now, the best part of this video here is at the end of the video, you'll get to see what it looks like 260 feet above the football field at Arrowhead. So. That college degree came in handy. I love watching your faces, by the way. There's always about two guys out there smiling, thinking, wow, that looks like fun. Everybody else is always looking at me, especially the women, thinking, wow, that guy's an idiot. And so, but the plan is for me to dress up in my costume. I'm supposed to jump out of the lights at the top of our stadium. That day I was supposed to fall for about 20 feet. The bungee cord was supposed to catch me, bounce me up, and then I was going to zip line out over the field like you just watched. So it was supposed to be one of the greatest mascot entrances ever. Well, unfortunately, that day, things did not go as we planned, because when I jumped out of the lights, because of the slack that was still in the zip line, instead of falling 20 feet, I fell approximately 70 to 75 feet, and I hit the seats in the upper level of our stadium. I hit the seats so hard, I knocked two of the seats out of the concrete. So if you do go to Arrowhead, swing by section 324, row 32, seats 22 and 23, you'll notice those are a little newer. That's thanks to me, okay? But after I hit, I still remember this. I guess my body went into shock. I was just shaking all over. I was just trembling, and I was really, really struggling to breathe. And I'll be honest, I was scared, and all I wanted to do is get down. Well, unfortunately, if your bungee cord is attached to a zip line, you can't get down halfway through the ride, okay? It's kind of like a roller coaster. So if you go to a theme park, you get on a roller coaster, you're not going to get off the roller coaster until the ride comes to a stop. Well, the same was true for me on that day. I jumped out of the lights, I fall, I hit the seats. At that point, the bungee cord then pulls me back up, and then I start to zip line out over the field like you just watched in the video. Now, I wish I had time this morning to share with you all the details of what happened on that day and how I can look back on this. And trust me, I've thought about this so many times since it's happened to me. But the fact that I'm still here, the fact that I get to stand up and I get to tell my story to you this morning makes me really grateful, okay? And I warn you right now, sometimes in life, when you're really grateful for something, like the fact that you're still here, you know what'll happen? Sometimes makes your eyes water. And that's a good thing. Somebody told me once, your eyes don't water, your head will swell. Think about that. So if you see my eyes water, yeah. You see my eyes water, so I don't get a big head like some of the players I work with. You didn't hear me say that right there. But I got to make a long story shorter today. So I'll tell you, I got to do something that day that was never, ever on my bucket list. I got to ride real fast in the back of an ambulance, okay? Took me straight to the emergency room. As soon as I get there, there's all these doctors and nurses, and they start doing CAT scans and x-rays, and they're checking me out head to toe and inside out. And here's what they found. They discovered I'd broken 7 ribs on my left side, and I'd also collapsed my left lung. That's why I was struggling to breathe, as my left lung had collapsed. Now, I don't know if you've ever collapsed a lung. How they fix that, they give you a chest tube, okay? And I don't know if you've ever personally had a chest tube. Don't put those on your bucket list either, because I still remember this doctor, he looked at me, he said, Mr. Meers, it's just a small little tube. We're going to insert that into your chest cavity. And he said, you might feel a little bit of pressure. Well, apparently that guy had never had a chest tube before in his life, because it's a lot more than a little pressure. I do know that. But But not only had I broken the 7 ribs, collapsed my left lung, they also found I had shattered my tailbone. I cracked my sacrum, the bone your tailbone attaches to. I got a big gash on the back of my left leg here that required stitches, and I got several units of blood because I'd lost a lot of blood after I'd hit the seats. But then my worst injury, they discovered I'd broken the T12 vertebrae in my back. And the next day I had surgery. They gave me these new titanium rods. So that's a picture of my back. Those rods are what stabilized that part of my spine. And they were also real nice. They gave me 8 of these. And I don't know if you can see them. You can see them in the x-ray. These are the screws that hold my titanium rods in place. So I got 8 of these. And I know if you look at that, that looks like something you can pick up over at the hardware store. Come to find out, these are a little more expensive than the ones they sell at the local hardware store. But here's what I remember most about that night of November the 23rd of 2013. Here's a picture of what I looked like, and probably thinking, you don't look very good. Well, I didn't feel very good either that day. But here's what I remember most. The doctor walked into this hospital room, told me all my injuries, explained to me that I was going to have back surgery the next morning. He's walking out of this room. He gets to the door. He turned around and he looked at me, and I'll never forget his words. He said, Mr. Meers, he said, I hope you realize tonight that you're a very lucky man. He said, if you fell 75 feet, he said, number 1, you're lucky to still be alive. He said, number 2, you are very lucky that you're not paralyzed right now. And, you know, that night in that hospital bed, I thought a lot about what that doctor said. You know, I thought about my life. You know what I thought a whole lot about that night is how I was choosing to spend my coin each day. And today I want to share with you what I consider 3 of the greatest lessons I've learned since that night in that hospital bed. And I'll tell you, these are 3 lessons that I am committed to living my life by from here on out. Number 1 is this: live every day you get with character, with purpose, and with passion. Live your life with character, live it with purpose, live it with passion. You know, I've got a good friend of mine, and he likes to say this: we're all like a jug of milk. We all come with an expiration date. The only difference, our expiration date's not printed on us, okay? For a while, thought my expiration date was going to be November 23rd, 2013. Thankfully, that wasn't my expiration date. You know what I don't know? I don't know when my expiration date is. You know what I do know? Every day I get between this one right here and that day, whenever that day comes, I intend to live this life to the fullest. You know, I want to live it, like I said, with character, with purpose, and with passion. And I challenge you to do the same. I challenge you to take every day that you get and use it to be a blessing in someone's life. Use it to make a positive impact and influence in the lives of others. You know, life's a gift. You've heard that before. When you just about lose your life, you start to realize how much of a gift it is. And, you know, every day we get's important, you know. And I'll share with you another quote. It's on my desk at Arrowhead. I read this quote every morning. It's the first thing I do when I get to work. But the quote says this. It says, "This is the beginning of a brand new day. God has given me this day to use as I will. I can waste it or I can use it for good. But what I do on this day is important because I'm exchanging a day of my life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day is going to be gone forever, leaving in its place something I've traded for it. I want it to be gain and not loss, good and not evil, success and not failure, in order that I shall not regret the price I paid for it." And you know, I love that quote because that quote reminds me once again, today is God's gift to me, right? Today, I get to choose how I'm going to live my life. I get to choose how I'm going to spend my coin. And this day and every day I get between now and my expiration date, like I said, I intend to live with character, with purpose, and passion. And I wish I had more time to talk about that character piece. You know, one of my favorite football coaches, he's actually my second favorite coach. My favorite will always be Andy Reid. He's the guy that helped me get this cool Super Bowl ring. I don't know if you guys, did I mention that we won the Super Bowl? I can't remember. I couldn't remember if I'd mentioned that or not. But this is Casey Wolf's ring, by the way. So, but if you want to see what a Super Bowl ring looks like, I'll have it out there after a while. But so Andy will always be my favorite my favorite coach. But my second favorite football coach, a guy you may have heard of, his name was Lou Holtz. You guys remember Lou Holtz? Used to coach at the University of Notre Dame. Lou Holtz used to always tell his players this: there's never a right time to do the wrong thing. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. Think about that. Never a right time to do the wrong thing. Never a wrong time to do the right thing. If we all simply put that principle right there into practice each day, this world would be a better place for everybody to live. But that's the first lesson I learned, is live life with character, with purpose, and passion. Let me share with you the second lesson I learned, and this is This is something my sweet mother tried to teach me in high school, and unfortunately, I did not think my mother was very smart when I was in high school. Come to find out a few years later, she was a whole lot smarter than I was back then. But I remember my mom used to always tell me and my brothers that the most important things in life are not things. The most important things in life are relationships. And you know what? My mom's a smart gal, because as I spent 9 days in that hospital bed, not one time, and I mean not once did I think about how big my house was, not once did I think about how nice my car was or whether I had the latest smartphone or not. Not once did I think about whether I had the latest fashion clothing. As a matter of fact, for 9 days, I wore that same outfit, okay? And it wasn't fashionable. It was very well ventilated, I will say that. You guys ever seen those hospital gowns? Anybody ever got to wear one of those? You know what they say about wearing those hospital gowns? It's kind of like owning a bad health insurance policy. You only think you're fully covered, okay? There's a whole lot of truth to that. Right after my surgery, they try to get you up and start walking pretty quick, and I started to realize why they called it the ICU. Yeah, so but listen, I don't think my wife likes that slide, but I slipped it in anyway. But you know what? You spend 9 days in a hospital bed, you get a lot of time just to lay around there and think. And it was during those 9 days, I was reminded just over and over and over again that the most meaningful things in my life, it's not my things, it's not my stuff. What helped me get through 9 days in a hospital and then 6 months of just very painful therapy and rehab day after day after day, 3 things: my faith, my family, my friends. You know what? All 3 of those things that I just mentioned, all those things are relationships. My faith, that's my relationship with the Lord. And I tell this to people all the time. My number one goal every day I get out of bed, I don't even have to write this one down, but this one, my number one goal every day I get out of bed never changes. It's the same every day. It's get up, go out, love people. Not judge people, because that's easy to do. But love people, that's not easy. Because how many of you guys know this? I know you know this. There's some people in this world that are extremely hard to love. You got anybody in your life like that? Don't look at each other right now either, okay? But you know what? Because, listen, one day when my life story is complete, when people are sitting around at my funeral, and I might just have SIG hold my funeral, because you guys know how to throw a heck of a party, I'll tell you. I've been to 2 of these, and I love them, I'll tell you what. But you know what? When people are sitting around at my funeral, I could care less if they know I was in the Mascot Hall of Fame or not. You didn't even know there was a Mascot Hall of Fame, did you? Nobody does. Guys, I could care less if they know how many years I spent as a mascot for the Chiefs, because one day, when my story is complete, when I don't want to be remembered just for what I did. I hope to be remembered on that day is for who I was. And if the only thing people ever say about me and remember about me is that I love the Lord and I love people, I'm good with that, okay? Ultimately, that's what I want to be remembered for. But that's my faith. Secondly is my family. My wife, my kids, my parents, my in-laws, just blessed to have a great family to support me during those difficult times. And then finally, my friends from my church, my neighborhood, my coworkers, just so many great people that were there to support me. They'd drop off meals at our house. They'd stop by and visit because they knew I was sitting around bored stiff with nothing to do. Got all kinds of encouraging text messages and emails. Got all kinds of cards and letters. I did bring one that I wanted to show this morning. I speak at a lot of schools. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I speak at schools all over the place. And so when all these little kids found out Casey Wolf got hurt, what happens? They all start making cards for you and mailing them up to the stadium. I have got boxes and boxes of these right here. This one right here may be my favorite. Came on this hot pink card from some little girl out in the middle of Kansas. And here's what it said: "Get well soon, Casey Wolf. Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving." So they do. They do it a little different in Kansas, as you know, but here, my favorite part's the inside of this card. It says, "Hello, Casey Wolf. My name's Lauren Jones. You came for an assembly at my school. You probably don't remember, but I'm from Sterling Elementary, and I am so, so sorry. And you know what? You're so lucky you didn't die. That would have been sad, wouldn't it? Merry Christmas, love, Lauren Jones." And I'm like, that's awesome. That's right. That right there is what I love about kids. They just shoot straight with you, man. That'd have been sad if you'd have died, wouldn't it? So, but you know what? It's cards like that remind me, my mom's a smart gal. Most important things in life ultimately aren't things. Most important things in life are relationships. And as you just, let me challenge you, as you decide how you're going to spend your coin every day, I challenge you to make relationships a priority. You are in the relationship business here, okay? Make relationships a priority, because if you're going through a difficult time in life, trust me, it's your relationships are what will get you through the difficult times. And even if you're not going through a difficult time, if you're here this morning, everything's good in your world, and I hope it is. Here's what I've discovered on those good days and those not so good days. It's our relationships. My relationship with the Lord, my relationship with others. Ultimately, that's what gives my life meaning. That's what gives my life purpose. So make relationships a priority. And then let me share with you one last lesson I learned. And I learned this in January of 2014. So this is just a couple months after my bungee jump. I'm on my way to another physical therapist appointment. You guys ever been to the physical therapist? I got to a point I called him my physical terrorist. If you've been to one, you know why. But I'm on my way to another appointment, and I'm feeling sorry for myself. I don't know if you guys have ever lived with pain. I still live with pain. It's no fun, okay? You don't get a vacation from it. It wears you out physically, emotionally. A lot of days are discouraging. Once in a while, you get those days, and they're just flat out depressing, okay? And this is one of those days. I'm driving to another appointment, having a pity party. Those things never work, by the way. And I'm listening to the radio station. This radio personality comes on, and he says this. He says, every morning that you wake up, everybody's got something to complain about. Everybody's got something to be thankful for. He said, whichever one you choose to focus on, it's going to determine your attitude for the day. And I still remember sitting in my car, and I realized, you know what? I just learned a valuable lesson right there. I learned that, yeah, I guess I could sit around and complain that I had 7 broken ribs, or I could be thankful I had 17 good ones that weren't broken quite yet, right? You know, it can always be worse. You know, I realized I could complain about my collapsed left lung that still wasn't back to normal. I wasn't sure what was going on because I couldn't see it, but something wasn't right yet. Or I could be thankful I had 2 lungs. My other one was working just fine. You know, I realized I could complain about all the new scars that I now have on my body, or I can be thankful if I keep my pants and shirt on like I'm supposed to. Nobody gets to see those scars, right? You know, it's thank you. Not like I've been all over the world, people. I've got to meet a bunch of crazy stories. I mean, mascots have stories. I could stand here for hours and tell you crazy stories. I've got to walk 5 women down the aisle on their wedding day, dressed in a costume. I've been best man now in 10 or 11 weddings, and I didn't even know who the groom was. I was just best man. I stood there in a wolf suit with a tuxedo on, holding the ring in my paw. Okay. Last year, I got to check another one off my bucket list. I got to be the flower girl. Okay. I got to drop petals there. Yeah. If you got the money, I got the time. And then tell the story about what happened to me November 23rd of 2013, all the lessons I've learned through that time. And a lot of the quotes you've heard me use today are in this book. But I tell people the reason I promote the book whenever I go speak is I don't make a dime off this book. All the money we make off book sales, we give it away to charity. We do a lot of work with homeless shelters and orphanages. And I just want to wrap up by showing you a couple real quick pictures of places that we help support. Not that. This right here is a orphanage in Haiti. This may be one of the greatest trips I ever took right here. This was right after the doctor said, you're strong enough, you're healthy enough, you can start wearing a costume again. So I took this trip down to Haiti, this mission trip, and I learned another great lesson while I was down there. You know, when I was doing all the therapy and rehab, I spent the majority of my time at home. You spend all your time at home, guess what? You start to live in a small world. You live in a small world, all your problems seem huge. You go to a place like Haiti, work in an orphanage where they don't have hot water, they don't have air conditioning, you sleep under a mosquito net on a really, really uncomfortable bed each night, all of a sudden your world starts to get big. You live in a big world, it'll put your own problems in perspective in a hurry. So, but that's one of the places we help support. This right here is a village in the Philippines. A lot of the kids in the village were getting sick. So we went over there, and the reason they were getting sick, they didn't have clean water in their community. So we went over there and helped them build a well in that community. And then a little closer to home, and you may do this in your community, it's called Shop with a Cop. That's my cop outfit, by the way. And but we donate money so underprivileged kids can go out and buy Christmas gifts for their families at Christmas time. And then Okay, this next one, I just spoke here last week, actually. This is the Kansas City Rescue Mission. It's one of the homeless shelters. It's in downtown Kansas City. Every year they do a thing called the Toilet Paper Challenge. As you can imagine, they go through a lot of toilet paper at the mission. And so they do a toilet paper challenge to collect all this toilet paper. Well, I sold a bunch of books, so I was just going to buy a bunch of toilet paper to donate. So I did that, but then I thought, I should team up with an elementary school too. So I went to this school close to my house, and I talked to the principal. I said, hey, let's do this. Have all the kids bring toilet paper to school. Whichever class brings the most toilet paper, I'll buy pizza. We'll have a pizza party for that class. Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but kids like pizza. Apparently they like it a whole lot because those kids went crazy. It took us about 3 weeks, and in a 3-week period from what I had purchased, what these kids had brought in, we ended up with over 16,500 rolls of toilet paper.
Oh my God.
It took 2 of those trucks to get all the toilet paper to the mission. Last week they told me they're still wiping with the toilet paper. So, and then this right here is a few more pictures here. This right here is a leper colony. Believe it or not, leper colonies still exist. This is in India. I was over there about 2.5 years ago when it was over there and just spent the day loving on those people, hopefully being a blessing in their lives. And we were over there to visit some orphanages. They call them hope homes in India. And so we were over there getting to visit some of the kids. Also had some fun in India. Got to ride a camel in a wolf outfit for the first time in my life. And had so much fun on the camel. I rode the elephant too while I was over there. And then my most recent trip right here, I got to go to Africa. This was right before COVID got started. I went there with Convoy of Hope right here in Springfield, great organization. When we went over there, they're starting a feeding program at this school. Best part of this trip, these students in this photo, they've never seen white people, okay? If they've never seen a white guy, I promise they've never seen anything that looked like this in their village either. So that was just a fun trip. And then got 2 more quick pictures. This right here is a girls' orphanage in the Dominican Republic that we sport. And I'll show you my favorite picture from the trip. It's this one right here. I like that picture so much I wrote a second book called It Mascot on a Mission Living a Life of Influence. I'll be honest, I think I heard Tom say this. I don't like writing books either, okay? It's not my thing. I don't like writing books, but I do like giving money away to people that need it more than I do. And I will wrap up with this today. I have people ask me this question all the time. Why does a 54-year-old guy still run around in a costume for a living? Some of you are probably out there thinking that all day, right? Why does a 54-year guy still run around in a costume? You know the answer? That picture. Guys, that picture says it all. I want my life to make an impact, okay? I want this world to be a better place because I was here for just a short time. I want every person I meet, and I mean every person, to walk away after an encounter with me. I want them to know that they're loved. I want them to know that they're special. And I want them to know that there is somebody in this life that genuinely cares. And there's no exceptions. So I don't care if they're young or old. I don't care if they're black or white. I don't care what their abilities or disabilities are. I don't care if they voted for Biden or Trump. I don't even care if they speak my language. I want them to know somebody cares. I meet a lot of people in my job. And I know you meet a lot of people as well. And one thing I've learned is there are so many people in this world that go through life and it's almost like their buckets are empty. You know what I'm talking about? You meet them. They seem discouraged. They seem depressed. They wonder, does my life really matter? Does anybody truly care? You know what I think that is too often in life, we go through this life and we're passionate. I mean, we get passionate about things that don't really matter. And then we're passive about those things in this life that really should matter. You want to be a difference maker in your world. You want to be a difference maker in your home, your community, your workplace, and the lives of the people that you interact with each day. Here's my challenge to you. Learn to live your life for the things that truly matter. Because I will tell you this, it's a rewarding way to live life. It's why I keep doing what I do. I love football. That Super Bowl thing is really cool. If you ever get the chance to go, you should, because it's really cool. But you know what? That's not why I keep doing this job. The reason I continue to do this job is every day I get the opportunity to hopefully go out and be a blessing in the lives of other people, whether it's a nursing home, a hospital, a school, a birthday party, a wedding reception. Every day I get that opportunity to be a blessing in the lives of others. And And listen to me, you don't have to be a professional mascot to do that. You don't have to wear fur. I got good news for you. You don't have to put on a costume to do that. You don't have to travel to the other side of the world to do it. You can do it right in your own community, right where you're at. I don't care if you're the CEO of a company or a custodian. I don't care if you're the head coach of your team or you're just a team mascot. Each one of us every day has an opportunity to be a blessing in the lives of others just by the way we choose to live life, by the way we choose to invest our coin. And so that's my ultimate challenge to you. Take your coin, be an investor. You've got a great platform to make a positive impact in the lives of lots of people. You know, I am so thankful that Cam and I had our insurance in place, that we had even if I wouldn't have made it, she was going to be living large, I'll tell you that. Every day she probably wakes up thinking, oh, she made it. But you know what? I thank you for what you do. What you do is important. Never forget that. And so, but you know what reason I love speaking to this group? You guys are a lot better behaved than the Chiefs fans I work with. I bet you didn't have a tailgate party in the parking lot before you walked in. But anyway, we have time for a couple questions. I have no idea what time it is. How about right here?
How do you see out of that thing?
I look right through the neck. So these eyes right here, those don't work very good. So if you look at these eyes, those don't work real well. I look right through here. All the fur down here on his neck. So if you ever come to a Chiefs game, you know, or if you watch that video, you know, see sometimes Casey Wolf will come riding out on a four-wheeler or a motorcycle. If you watch close, occasionally you'll see me scratching his neck. That's not fleas. Okay? That just means I'm driving a little bit too fast. The fur blew over my eye hole and I cannot see. If you ever come to a Chiefs game, you're out in the parking lot, you see the wolf drive by on a four-wheeler scratching, that means get out of the way because you're about to get run over. And I tell you another thing I've discovered, there's a lot of people who come to football games who do not know I look through the neck, because at times people come up to hug me and they'll wrap their arms around you and they pat you, and on the inside I'm going, come up to hug the wolf, please don't pat the neck. Okay, so good question. Any other questions? So, you know, we played the Dallas Cowboys this year at Arrowhead Stadium. 40-yard line.
I'll be there.
Yeah, send me your seat location. Something special for you.
How hard is it not to speak?
Huh?
How hard is it not to speak?
In costume? Well, sometimes there's some people you want to say, well, you just. So, but yeah, it's hard right at first. After you do it for 31 years, it just kind of comes natural. So, but yeah, there are times you want to say. So I talk to I've got an assistant that goes with me on game day. So he follows me around, and he can usually pick up on my clues. So if you see the wolf go like this, that's not beer. That means I want water. Okay, that means that wolf's thirsty. So if you see me disappear at the games, you see, running around on the field, you see me disappear up the tunnel, I'm doing three things. Number one, I'm getting a drink of water so I don't dehydrate. Number two, I'm putting on a dry shirt so I don't smell too bad. And then number three, I'm giving myself a shot of this special cologne I told you about. But yeah, so, and I've got several outfits. I think, how many wolves do we have in the garage right now? I think we got four Casey Wolf costumes in my third car garage right now. I probably got 5 more up at the stadium I can wear. And so every day, people are always like, oh, how do you decide which one you're going to wear each day? It's simple. I walk out to my garage, sniff each costume. Whoever smells best, that's who gets to go with me. I think that's the same way our son picked out his clothes in high school, too. How about my friend here?
Do you have relationships with all the other mascots in the NFL?
I do. Believe it or not, we have an NFL mascot convention every year. We don't eat quite as good as you all do here at the SIG conferences, but yeah, those are not the most stressful conventions you'll ever attend in your life, trust me. Just a couple years ago, we had one up in Canada. We got invited to go up there. They said, you can come and use our facility if we can get you to all snow ski together in costume. And we're like, heck yeah, we'll do that. So we had a ski race coming down the mountain and all the NFL mascots. So, of course, I did not win. I had 85-inch hips in costume. So Freddie the Falcon, if you know the Atlanta Falcons, he's a bird with little, cute little, look a lot like me in that Fred bird suit, but he didn't have a whole lot of wind resistance, so he ended up winning it. How about my friend in the back there? You know what? You can walk out that door. I think there's going to be a table. Thank you for asking. Good segue there. If anybody is interested, I did bring books with me. Books are $12 each. So if anybody wants a book, they're $12. Like I said, all the money is going to go to charity. We got pictures out there too. If anybody wants a picture for your kids, grandkids, whatever, these are free. That means they don't cost any money. So, and then we've also got these coins. You keep seeing me pull a coin out of my pocket. On one side of the coin, it's got a picture of K.C. Wolf. It says, "Life is like a coin, spend it wisely." On the back of the coin, it just says, "Rise and shine." Okay? But books are $12, coins are $3. We got a special today just for the conference. You get a book and a coin for $15. Just for my friends here outside, because I like you that much. Okay? So if you want them signed, is that what that meant? Yeah, I can sign them too. Yeah, I still spell my name. So. And by the way, I want you to know too, I had a lady call me the other day and told me it's the best book she's ever read. That's my mom. He's the only one that's told me that at this point. I am not going to promise you this is the best book you'll ever read. I will promise you this, it's got a lot of pictures in it, and I also promise all the money we're making off this stuff, we're just giving it away to charity. So I think at this point, we've given, we're somewhere around between $150,000 and $160,000 at this point. So, but the other fun thing about writing a book, people think you're smarter than you really are. I just got a good editor. So, all right here.
Has your wife ever allowed you to bungee jump again?
She is not allowed to. Nor did I get her to go. I did go skydiving twice since I bungee jumped, and those worked out a little better for me. She can tell. But yeah, I got to go skydiving with all 3 of my kids, and so if you knew our kids, my youngest daughter is wired just like her dad. Okay, if it looks like fun, it might hurt a little bit, but that's okay. Let's go. They make ibuprofen, right? And so she wanted to go skydiving. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Well, come find out, you got to be 18 years old to jump out of an airplane. I don't know if you knew that or not. She was only 17 years old at the time. So I'm like, what are we going to do? So I talked my 2 oldest kids into jumping out of the plane with me. And then the next year, my youngest turned 18, of course. So for Christmas, that's what we gave her, skydive. So I'm like, she can't skydive by herself. So I'm like, surely I can, I'm playing the odds, but I think maybe I can get by with it one more time. So yeah, I've gone twice, and it was fun, but I don't know if I'll do it anymore unless my grandkids want to do it. Or if my wife comes to me and says, "Hey, honey, I want to go skydiving," throws over. So, was there another hand? All right. Well, hey, once again, I appreciate so much the opportunity to come and speak. You guys have been a wonderful group. And,